Hello, another development update segment on a day that this morning I thought spring was springing, but it's not. It's kind of cold out here. We are at the Dunkin' Donuts Commercial Street MBTA parking lot side of the Herring Run, opposite of Lovell Field, the soccer field complex, Pingree School. Many of you know that we had a lot of publicity surrounding this particular project, which is the pedestrian bridge over the Herring Run. Got a little notice when the structure was dropped here recently. WETC put some drone footage up. There were a lot of comments on that. People have asked for more detail on this. So by way of a little background, after we built the field complex here at Lovell Field, the demand was exceeding what we anticipated. It's been very popular. It's been very beneficial for some of the merchants here in some ways, and other ways, obviously, parking impacts bothered people. The town has benefited greatly from this, aside from the great soccer programs we have here in Weymouth. A lot of the tournaments we host have helped pay for maintenance of the field. The revolving fund here has been very successful from the fees we generate. So overall, it's been great. The parking we sought to address, and initially we reached out to the MBTA. We worked out an agreement with them to utilize the parking lot here. And what we found was that people really don't like to walk. It's kind of that dynamic you see at the supermarket when someone drives around for 5 minutes to save 5 feet of walking. It didn't get much use. So we started researching the potential of this connection. We got some help from former colleague of mine, Matt Amarillo, who was working for CDR McGuire, one of our consultants that we've used here for different projects, engineering consultants. And he stumbled on a new program that the state was working on that provided money for small bridges like this. It was kind of a gray area whether or not it met the criteria for that particular grant program. But I reached out to then Lieutenant Governor Karen Polito. We had some discussions, and we were able to get the parameters to kind of fit what the requirements were, given the fact that in our grant application, not only was this designed for access to the soccer field, but also it linked up access to the MBTA commuter lot. That helped us with the grant. And it also provides another connection to the Back River Trail. This is going to make an easier connection to get to the Durante property once the MBTA, ironically, cleans it up, which we've been on them now for about, actually it was part of Greenbush mitigation, and the town kind of let that fall by the wayside. We picked up that effort when I came in, and it's been brutal dealing with the MBTA to get them off the dime to complete some environmental cleanup they're required to do over there. So once that's finally done, if it ever gets done, this will provide a link to that section of the Back River Trail. We got the initial grant from the Polito administration, Baker administration, great help on their part, and we went out to bid. We were horrified with the bids that came back. Ultimately, this was probably about double of what we had anticipated. Part of that was due to environmental permitting was extremely tedious and lengthy, so the engineering and permitting fees were significant. So at the end of the day, this cost was about $1 million for this entire project. Roughly 700 and some odd were through the grants, and we made up the difference through community preservation funds. So here we are. The bridge itself was built off-site and delivered here in one piece. The timing of this project was frustrating because we did have a citizen's appeal. They appealed the project to stop the project, and that had to go through the state permitting and appeal process, which probably cost us, between that and timing, which I'll get to in a minute, that cost us close to 2 years and slowed the project down. The timing aspect of this is we obviously have to work around the herring migration, so that's spelled out in the permits. We were up in the air until recently as to whether or not this project was going to get completed in time before the herring starts running, and it appears as though that is the case. So we should have this thing, I think in July, I think was the latest update that it'll be open. We were asked, why does it look like it's rusted? Well, that's how things are pretty much done these days. It's called weathering steel. There's a trade name for it, the U.S. Steel trademark called Corten steel, and that is the way that the steel is weathered, and it helps preserve it in the long run. It also adds to the strength of it. It's an interesting thing. The first time I saw it was actually around the corner, probably 20 some odd years ago, when Hingham put new utility lines in and used very large, from their substation, steel poles. And a lot of the folks were worked up in Hingham about the look, but that's what's used in the trade these days, and it helps preserve the life of it. And one further note, the process that I referred to here, we really started this process about 2019, 2020, with the paperwork on this and the fabrication, eventually in the permitting. So there was a long process here, but again, it's going to look great. Some of the surrounding area that had been industrial site doesn't look too appealing, but when you walk down the path, it'll look nice, and hopefully some of the plantings screen out some of the flotsam and jetsam that is a relic of our industrial past down here in East Weymouth, where the old bowling alley was. We're about 90% done. There'll be some paving here, some signage, some plantings, landscaping, and we'll be ready to go. One of the things that was also beneficial that we really didn't think of, to be honest with you, when we were working on this initially, but we've learned recently that a lot of Pingree parents are very excited, who actually, and believe it or not, there are some kids that still walk to school. I know that's hard to believe, but some Pingree parents are very excited that this is going to shorten their walk to school significantly. So that's another benefit we really hadn't planned on, in addition to the connection to the Back River Trail and obviously access to the parking lot for people that are going and utilizing the soccer fields. I was asked to give a little refresher on the field itself, because it's an interesting story how this came to be. And I was a little sad because I played a lot of softball over here. I know some of the skateboard advocates were upset. They were losing what resembled a little bit of a skate park. When I came to office back in 2016, I was presented with a plan for the soccer field complex, which I was not aware had been done. It was $250,000 worth of engineering and permitting had already occurred, and that plan was put forward to the Conservation Commission, which rejected the plan. So we had a consultant that cost us $250,000 work on a plan put together by one department that was rejected then by another department. And on top of that, there was no plan for funding it. There had been talk in the previous administration for an override to fund this project. So I thought we were going to just put the thing on the shelf. Obviously, there was no appetite for an override at that time. And the capital budget, we weren't sure yet whether or not we could even get anything close to something like this done. We were still getting our feet wet, and Chief of Staff Langell, who was then kind of acting CFO also at the time, started looking at the capital budget and said, well, if we can get this thing scaled down a little bit, maybe we can afford something. Steve Riley of Recreation, John McLeod Asset Management, and others started kind of retooling the plan in-house. And we worked around what had been a stump dump here that required a lot of site work. We dropped it from 3 full fields down to like 2.5, repositioned the fields, and we saved a lot of money on site work, and we were able to get the project done. I think we cut about $5 million off of what was estimated initially. Soon after, as we got deeper into examining the town finances and looking at our capital budgets, we realized not only were we able to do this, but we were able to take on some other projects like Lovell Field, Weston Park. So that was a real shot in the arm once we got a handle on what the finances look like on our capital spending plan. The town wasn't really bonding properly and managing the debt service probably as well as it could have, and that's really where the savings came from. Ted did a great job in going out and kind of repositioning how we handled our debt service. We did not increase our debt service line item, so we didn't spend any additional money taking on the debt for this or the other projects that I mentioned. So some interesting background on how all this came to be, and here we are 8 years later, and linking it up with the parking lot. So hopefully people are going to take advantage of this. It'll take a little pressure off, and now those Pingree parents, I look forward to seeing them traverse this on their way to school on a beautiful fall day when this thing's finally open. So thanks for joining us on this segment of Development Update. Stay tuned for more. We're out filming a couple other interesting ones today. See you next time.